G'day, I'm Len Kennedy. I am a Darling Downs Veteran Vintage Club member, and I've been in the steering, suspension and tyre industry for over 50 years. I am going to explain to you how to use this tyre changer. This is a Coates 4040 tyre changer. It's old school, but it still does a good job on steel wheels. It needs a lot of air to operate, and the air needs to be supplied by the big compressor out there between the spray booth and the club rooms. Tyre and rim on the tyre changer, positioning the valve at about 20 to 25 past. Nut on, and the pace is a bump to tighten it up. Now, first thing we do is remove the air from the tyre. You won't break the bead otherwise. Air's out of the tyre now, so then we remove any wheel weights. If we don't remove the wheel weights, when the arm comes around, it will drag that weight around and scratch your rim. You need to put the bead breaker on the rim, on the tyre, parking it as close as we can to the rim. Now there's a second bead breaker, and that is underneath here, that will break the bead on the bottom at the same time as the bead on the top gets broken. This pedal here, the one on the right, activates the bead breaker and also the arm that takes the tyre off the rim. We'll now break the bead by pressing the right side pedal. And you need to push the tyre down into the well to be able to remove it. We need to lubricate the rim to protect the tyre, protect the bead in particular, and to facilitate easier removal. This is special tyre fitting compound. It is way better than soap and water. Soap and water will do the job, but it rusts your rim, whereas this protects your rim. This lever has two ends. This end for removing the tyre, and this end here for putting the tyre back on again. So that end goes in there, and then we pull it over, making sure that the tyre is in the well on that far side, and we put it on the spindle. We now press the same pedal as we pressed before. Top bead off. So that has the top bead off. If this is a tubeless tyre, but if it was a tube type tyre, you would now take the tube out, pull the tube out of here. Using the same end on this lever, we put it under the bottom bead. We lift it up, and lifting the tyre again into the well, and then we place over the spindle, and same thing again. So before we put the tyre back on or put a new tyre on, we should replace the valve stem. Now this tool here screws onto the valve stem, and we lever down over the rim and pull the new valve stem through. Now before we put the tyre on, we need to lube up the bead surfaces. I know we lubed it before, but that lube dries out fairly quickly, so we lube it again. It helps the tyre go on the rim and also helps it seat the bead. Now we use this end of the tyre lever to put the tyre back on. So we install it, we have to have the tyre in the right position, and we install it like so. Then we push the same lever down again, the pedal down rather, the right side pedal, that then rotates the lever. Okay, we've engaged the lever with the tyre, so now we press that same right side pedal that then rotates and puts the tyre on. Now, the very important thing is that the tyre has to be pushed down into the well. Okay, now we install the top bead, engage the lever on the machine and the tyre, stand on that right side pedal, and we have to push down on the tyre to get it to go down into the well, otherwise it will not be able to go on. So pushing down and rotating. At this stage, if this was a tube type tyre, this is where we would put the tube in. Now we would put some talcum powder on the tube to make the tube seat better between the tyre and the rim. Then once we put the tube in and pull the valve stem through, it is best to put a little bit of air into the tube to inflate it, so that there's no pleats getting jammed in the machine as it rotates. Now to inflate the tyre, this fitting goes on to the valve stem. This pedal here blows air out of this tube connected to the valve stem into the tyre. Sometimes it will inflate the tyre and pop the beads onto the rim. If it doesn't, the pedal has to be pushed down to the second stage then, and it provides a blast of air from the bottom into the tyre. Fitting a new tyre, you will see that there are two dots on the tyre. There's a red dot and a yellow dot. The red dot goes to the harmonic high point, which is designated by either a centre punch mark or a drill mark or a red mark. If the rim does not have a harmonic high point marked on it, then the yellow dot goes to the valve stem. Now when we inflate the tyre, it's best to inflate it without the valve core in there, because we need to get the air, the biggest volume of air into the tyre that we can. So we'll now do that. The beads are now seated. So we will now put the valve core. And then inflate the tyre to the required pressure. It hadn't beaded properly. There we go. Making sure to put the cap back on to keep it all clean. Now if this was a tube type tyre or a tyre with a tube in it, we inflate it exactly the same, except that you don't need to use the second stage on the pedal for the bead blast because you've got a tube in there being inflated. When the bead pops onto the rim, you then let all the air out of the tube and let it relax so that there's no pleats in the tube, and then reinstate your pressure. Now this machine is really only suitable for steel rims. The lever, if you put a alloy rim on here, the lever will scratch the rim, and so you are better off taking your alloy wheels to a tyre shop.